Hello?
Hi, hello, this is Caleb?
Okay, hey, it's Caleb. This is Tommy, right?
Yeah, hey Caleb, this is Tommy Bryson. How are you?
Oh, okay, I'm doing well. Is the sound coming through good? I know I have the fan on. Is that okay?
Yeah, everything's fine. We're good here. Just want to let you know this call is gonna be recorded and potentially uploaded. So how can I help?
Oh, okay, very good. So yeah, my call was about I'm going to be getting a large sum of money in September. So I want to
Okay.
know what's the best way to use it. One of the big things I was thinking about is buying my mom's house because to give some background, she recently retired. She almost
Okay.
paid off the mortgage. It's like $2,000 left on the mortgage, so you wipe that out. It's done. She
Okay.
may be thinking about moving. So if she like moves and sells the house, I'd want to be the one to have the house.
Okay.
And the money I'm getting, it's going to be about 100,000. So
Okay.
just kind of looking at that, do you think it would be a good idea to use that money to buy the house and then house hack it from there?
How much is the house worth?
It's approximately 600,000. I would need to do a little bit more to find a better number, but approximately that's how much it would sell for.
Okay, so the home is worth $600,000, right? And then, okay, so here's the math I'm gonna pursue here. The math is basically if you weren't even getting this money, if you didn't have it, would you be able to afford a house of this magnitude? Now, this all comes down to one thing, and that's going to be, for example, your income, right? And also if you have any debt. So, what is your current monthly income?
Monthly income from I work part time at the airport, so that is about. Let me see. One check is. Let me just do some quick math here. One
Yeah.
check is about 600, and the other check is some commission on it. So the other check is about 1,000 by the time you add on commission. So let's say I make about 1,600 a month. It varies. The second check because there's commission on it, but
Okay.
let's say 1,600 for the month.
Okay, 1,600 per month. And then do you have any debt right now, like credit card debt, car loan debt, personal debt, student loan debt, any of that stuff?
And no debt. Thank God there's no debt.
Okay, so awesome. Congratulations on that. Now, here's what it looks like here, okay? And I'm guessing this home is in New York?
Yeah, Queens, New York. Yep.
Okay. Now, here's the truth, okay? If I were to receive, and by the way, my advice is always based on what I would do because that's the way you approach these things. If I received $100,000 and I had an income of 1,600, are you living with her right now? Or are you renting right now? What are you doing currently?
Yeah, currently living with her.
Okay, so your expenses are very low, right?
Right.
And then you're not sure if when your mom's actually gonna move out and all that stuff either, right?
Yeah, not yet.
Okay. So here's what I would do. I would put this money and basically push it through my system. The first step is basically you save $1,000 for emergencies, you pay off debt. In this case, you have no debt. So you go straight towards building a full-blown emergency account. That means 3 to 6 months of emergencies. Plus, if you have a car or anything that might break down, you might want to have a sinking fund for that separately. Now, in your case, do you think you spend more than $1,000 per month?
My expenses they are about. I'd have to look at it again, but it's about 1,400 a month. And I
Okay.
know, yeah, 1,400 compared to 1,600 is a little. It's a little tight there.
Yeah,
But
it's very
I'm
tight.
working on getting the yeah. I'm working on getting the income up because recently I became a real estate agent. I just
Yeah.
need some of that money to come in and make
Congratulations.
that start working. Thank you, thank you.
Okay. So it looks like this, right? If I'm spending $1,400 a month, multiply by six, that's around $8,400 for a 6 month emergency account. Now, with the budget that I follow when you first get started before you're financially free is called a bare bone budget, a triple B budget. It means you just take
Right.
care of the four fundamentals. You have, for example, shelter. In this case, very low for you because you live with your mom. You have groceries, you have utilities, and also lastly, transportation. Since you are in New York, I'm guessing you don't have a car, right?
I do have a car, but it's
You do
paid
have a
off.
car. Okay, so it's paid off.
Right.
So then you just put in there, for example, okay, how much do I spend on shelter? X amount. What about utilities like internet or my phone bill, things like that? X amount. Groceries. It shouldn't be more than 200 per person. So X amount there also. And then transportation on this car. What's the insurance? What's the maintenance? And also, let me put aside some money for the sinking fund in case this car breaks down at any moment. So that should be like your real budget. Everything else outside of that is just gonna be, for example, the wants. And while you're building financial freedom, it's kind of like if you do have those wants, you know for a fact it's gonna make the process a little slower for you to get to your goal a lot faster. Does that make sense?
Right. I see what you're saying.
Okay. Now it comes down to this, right? Once you put this money through that system, it means, for example, you're set aside like $8,400 for emergencies, maybe an extra $3,000 for like a sinking fund. So let's just say, for example, you set aside $12,000, right, of your money you're actually going to receive. That's $12,000. That means you have left around, like, what is it, $88,000?
Right.
Okay. Now with this money, would I go ahead as a person that's making $1,600 buy a property that is worth around $600,000? The answer is no. Now, why wouldn't you buy this property, Tommy? Well, the system that I work on is basically the 33% rule when it comes to buying a property. That means the property you buy on a 15-year mortgage, including the taxes, the mortgage, the insurance, maintenance, everything included, cannot exceed 33% of my monthly income. In this case, okay, and then if you want a house hack, great, but you got to make the numbers work with your numbers only. In this case, you're looking at a mortgage, even if you put down, for example, $88,000 divided by $600,000, that's around a 14% down payment, right? 15%, right, without including and not really, more like maybe 10% to 12%, because you also have, for example, closing costs and everything else, right? So
right, there is one thing I want to add, because I know this would be the standard way of buying the house, but I spoke with, because I am an agent, I was able to speak with my broker, and he said there's like an alternative way that you can buy a house from like a family member. So he gave me the basics of it. I'm still kind of unclear, but this is the basics of it. Essentially, because my mom basically owns the house, she can like refinance it and then pull out whatever money she would want to move if she's moving somewhere else. Oh, but before that, to back it up a little bit, she would put my name on the deed. That just costs $1,200 because we're related, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Then she would refinance the house,
take all the money out.
She wants to move, and then I would just be
left with a massive mortgage.
But that because that's the part I didn't understand when my broker was explaining it, because he made it sound like it'd be less.
Caleb, how old are you?
I'm 24.
Okay. And why do you want to buy a house so early?
Well, the only reason I wanted it is because I see like there's an opportunity. I mean, if this opportunity didn't come up, then I would say.
What's the opportunity here? What's the opportunity here?
The opportunity of house hacking. The opportunity of I have shelter in a place where I'm already at.
How many units does the property have?
It's a single family house, but if I was to get it, I would just stay in the basement and I would rent out the top. And
I wouldn't buy it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't buy it. Here's why, right? I wouldn't do it. Because you're getting a chance of a lifetime to actually get $88,000 after all the costs and all those things, right? And then you're going to put that money into a property. And if you're house hacking it, maybe you can help with the whole income situation to actually help with the mortgage. But they're always going to be, for example, almost battling to keep up with this massive mortgage. Now, what I would do in your case is basically, first of all, if my mom's moving out, then great. She can move out. She can sell the home. Right now, it is a very hot market. Good job, Mom. Amazing job. Thank you so much for letting me stay here. Now, that means you as a 24-year-old, do you have like, are you married? Do you have a girlfriend? Any of that stuff?
No, single.
Okay, you can rent a room. That's $150. That's $150 a week, right? $175 a week for a room. Now, it means you're a little uncomfortable, but you're just in New York to go ahead and hustle and kind of build a name and build a career for yourself. With that $88,000, I would grab it, push it through the system, right? Have my emergency fund, my sinking fund, have some money in there for anything else. But then the rest of the money, I say, okay, I'm going to grab 10%, 15%, start investing some of that money into my retirement accounts. The rest of the money, I'm going to use this money to basically save up for a down payment for a home I can actually afford with this system. Or for example, I'm going to use this money to basically upgrade my skills also. So if you're going to do the real estate thing, which is amazing, it's great. Right now, the market is hot, amazing market. And also like just getting people rentals and that stuff. If you can do that and you actually like it and you enjoy it and you make money, great. You keep renting a room or a little studio, nothing crazy. You're not there to be fancy. You make that money slowly but surely. If you say, hey, I want to buy a home, Queens, Manhattan, the Bronx, all those five boroughs, they're very expensive, right? And the math is just not going to be able to fit into your system unless you try to like do crazy leverage. So now you have to consider, well, I have a car, I could trade the ability to have a home to basically move over to New Jersey and then buy a home for like $250, maybe like $300,000 for a home in like a good area, for example, in New Jersey. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And look, buying a property is great, but it doesn't always make sense depending on the area you live in. For example, there's a guy, I don't know if you know him, but his name is Ramit Sethi. He's on Instagram, YouTube, has a book on finance, all that stuff. You ever heard about him?
Right, yes, I've heard of him, yep.
Ramit Sethi has been living in New York for I think 10 to 11 years. Until this day, does not own a property. Why?
Wow.
Because the thing is, you have to use a rent versus buy calculator. A house has a lot of phantom costs, like maintenance, things break down, all these things, okay? A crazy large payment. So the point is, you want to go on a rent versus buy calculator. You want to input your living expenses. Again, you're going to be renting a room. There's an app in New York, it's called Roomie. It can help you find a nice roommate with a nice kitchen. You guys split the cost, and that way you guys are good to go. Doesn't mean you have to live, for example, in Manhattan or Queens. You can live in another area and just trade up for a little commute here and there. Now, once you lock in the numbers, you know what, Caleb, I'm gonna go ahead, go on Google real quick, type in rent versus buy calculator, and just input your numbers here, okay? So that way we can actually get to the bottom of this. Yeah, so let's say, for example, you are in New York right now, which is awesome. I just left there. So I left you the whole city to yourself. Let's say the home is $600,000. Okay, so a down payment of $50,000 is just about like 8%. In this case, if you want to put down $50,000, stick with like $24,000 for extra emergencies. Okay, whatever. That's just 8%, which now means you have PMI also, private mortgage insurance. You know this stuff. Now you get it, for example. Yeah, you get it, for example, on a 30-year mortgage, okay? Now, here's the crazy math here. If you can rent comfortably, let's say for $1,000 a month, which is possible. I know it's New York, but you're gonna be renting a room. You're not doing anything fancy here. $1,000 per month. The math shows that basically, let me see, when does it become more, look at this. Oh my gosh, hold up. I think this calculator is a little broken here. Let me try another one. Yeah, because I really want to get you these numbers, because everyone makes it seem like buying a house is like the perfect idea. But if you're not ready, because I'm kind of like in your boat a little bit, you know, because a few months ago, I was actually going to go ahead and buy a home for like around the same price. It was going to be like a multifamily in the Bronx. And thank God I didn't do it, because it was going to be like this massive thing. So let's just put the numbers back in here.
I see what you're saying, because I know there's like both sides of it. On one side, like, I mean, I do feel a little bit like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do it, because even though there's money there, there's a little bit of risk, especially because
you just can't afford it.
Extra cost. Yeah.
You can't afford it.
But
especially when you have a job that's based on commissions, because real estate is not like a secure job, because you're going to have hot markets like this, which is great, but you're going to have markets where it's just going to be insane. So just to rewind here, if you go to rent versus buy calculator by Smart Assets, and you plug in, for example, is $600K home with a down payment of not 20%, because you don't have that much money, of 8%, the math shows that basically renting is always better. Because in 30 years, renting is going to cost you, for example, $486,000, while the home is going to cost somewhere like around $1.09 million. Does that make sense?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
so but you're not going to be there. Yeah, you're not going to be there for 30 years. But the point is, renting is going to be better in this case. That's how crazy it is.
Okay, I see what you're saying. You said that is basically $400,000 compared to 1 point something million, right?
Yeah, $1,095,000 in 30 years. In the first, for example, 5 years, you would spend on renting, let's say, like $62,000, but on buying a home it would be somewhere around $254,000. Like, yes, you get to build equity, And if you have, for example, some tenants there, great, you're home hacking and all these things. But the answer is you still have this massive, massive bill over your head when your income is only $1,600 and you're just getting started on building up your real estate career. It's kind of like having like just getting married, and now you want to add, for example, a brand new house out of nowhere, brand new cars, all these things all of a sudden, and then you kind of force everything way too quickly, way too fast. So what do you think about what I'm saying, though? What does it sound like to you?
I see what you're saying, and it makes sense. I don't want to put too much burden on myself. One, I'm already trying to make the real estate thing work, which is hard enough by itself, and then I don't need to stress about a house. I mean, because to me, it does look like a really good opportunity, but as you're saying, I don't make enough money yet, and then there's all these other expenses that could come up, and we didn't even get into the part about if the tenants were bad or whatever, which is a possibility. So I see it. I see what you're saying.
Where did you move from, Caleb? Were you always in New York, or did you move from somewhere else?
Yeah, I was always here. Born in this house, here, Queens the whole time. Yep.
Okay, so here would be my advice, right? If I were you, once mommy leaves, right? Okay, mom left. I'm gonna go ahead and rent a room, a nice room, paying $150, $175 a month, right? With my income from my airport job, with my commissions, I can basically pay for that, no problem. I start working towards building my real estate career. I'll give it like 18 to 24 months, give it a full-blown try. If you find out that basically you don't like it as much as you thought you did, well, it's okay to say like, well, I'm gonna be done here. I'm gonna try something else. You can use the money that you have, some of it while you're working and everything else, to maybe get a different license, or maybe go to college and just, for example, just upgrade your skills or whatever it is. Does that make sense?
Right, I see what you're saying. Give it some time.
Yeah, but if you just got $88,000 after the emergency fund, imagine if you put all that money into this property, and then, for example, God forbid, the roof goes down, or the AC unit goes down, or something breaks or something crazy, and you don't have the money for it.
Right, yeah, you don't want to be in that spot. Yeah, I see what you're saying. There's not really enough money there, and I don't want to put myself under stress. I just have to remove the emotional side, because I know I was getting excited, oh, I can do this and it will work out. But whenever you get excited about something, sometimes you need people to talk you off the ledge, which is kind of what you're doing. Kind of what you're doing here, which is good though. It's good financially. It's
talk me off the ledge. But it is true though. I mean, you don't even know how. I was going to buy a property for $600,000 with very, very fluctuative income as far as YouTube, right? And if things went wrong, because when you want to do something, you think about all the positives. It's very important to think about all the negatives also. If you trade a commute, you can buy a little property in New Jersey for $300,000. And my plan, and you can also house hack over there too, but my plan has always been, for example, I'm going to take care of myself first, and then I'm going to do, for example, more extravagant investments and so on. So that says step one, you pay off the debts using the avalanche method. Step two, you save for a full-blown emergency account and also sinking funds. Step three, you start investing 10 to 20% of your income into your retirement accounts, Roth IRA, 401k. And then you start paying off the mortgage a lot faster while you're also investing at the same time. But it all starts with, you have to raise your income right now, because your income is just way too low. And you can't base this money that you just made to kind of say, I'm going to use this money to upgrade my lifestyle, because you're just not there based on income. But if you can become a very good real estate agent and you can pull in, for example, $4,000 a month consistently, well, if you use the 30% rule, your budget now becomes, for example, around $1,320, which means you can get a house, for example, for $250,000 or $300K. And since you already have, for example, $88,000, you get to put down a bunch of money and be done, for example, in less than 7 to 8 years with this property. You get me?
Okay, I see what you're saying with that. So if I was to take this route you said, so for example, save the $12,000 for emergencies and everything, and if I rented a room, $150 a month, something like that, left with the $88,000, then where would I? Right. Then where would I? Or rather, what would I do with the 88 in terms of investing it, or have some saved? Because you said if I save it for something else, how would you kind of break that up?
Well, here's the thing, right? The problem is you know a little bit too much. So you know, for example, that I need to have this money making me something. But you also happen to be, for example, in an economic state where the government is pushing spending, right? That's what they want you to do. They want you to push spending. So it means that if you put your money, for example, into a savings account, you make nearly nothing. If you put your money, for example, into some T-bonds, you make nearly nothing. Put it into corporate bonds, you make some money, yes, but then you run the risk of, hey, this might become fluctuative. If you put it in the market right now, you're gonna be buying very high, and then later it might crash, and now you have to wait until it actually recovers, because if you take your money out way too early, well, now you just made a massive loss. So what would I do? Again, me personally, my answer would be I would forget about the gains for right now, because I know this money is going to be used at near time in the future. If you know you're not gonna touch this money for like 3 to 5 years or like 5 to 10 years potentially, it's fine. You can invest it, right? But I would drizzle it into the market. Meaning, for example, if I have $88,000, I would start investing it over a period of 5 years or 3 years. Slowly but surely. Every single week I'm investing some money, step by step, step by step. But if I know for sure all I want to do is build up my entire real estate thing, that's gonna take between 18 to 24 months. That's just 2 years. And then once I build up a good income, I want to go ahead and buy my own personal property and use that right there. The answer is I want to have that money as liquid as possible. That means T-bonds, or means, for example, a high yield savings, although it won't pay me that much money. But this way, at least you cover your butt in the sense that if the market does crash or anything does happen, I still have cash, and cash is still king. Does that make sense?
Okay, I see what you're saying. It's more of I kind of need to decide what I would do if I wanted to take in this example, slower route. I can just save some of the money.
Not slow.
Invest
it's still
slowly.
fast because you're 24 years old, bro. Remember that.
That's true. Yeah, it isn't slow compared to the 50-year plan, but
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But out of these two options, the slower route, which would be you take the money, drizzle it into the market bit by bit, like you said, on a weekly basis. You just come with a schedule and invest.
Yeah.
Or I would go hard on becoming a real estate agent, increase the income, and then save the $88,000 so that way when I want to buy a house, I have that as a down payment, and then it's in.
I mean, I'll give you a personal story here, Caleb. I'm currently going kind of through the same thing that you are. I mean, I have somewhere like around $120,000 that's just there frozen, right? And I just have it there. I lower my investments from like 95% of my income to only around like between 10 to 20%. That's all I do. So at this point, just 20% of what I make, I invest. That's it. All into my retirement accounts and so on. And now with this $120,000, it's just sitting there making around 1% a year, okay, in my M1 Finance savings accounts. Now I know if I put it in the market, I can make 8% or 10%. That's around $1,200 every single is it $1,200? No, I think it's a little bit more. It's around like $12,000 every single year. But then the big risk is that basically, if when I want to buy my first property, it is a downturn in the market, I am not able to have access to my cash, because if I take it out, I'm gonna have a massive loss in hand. So the big problem is, the big benefit is, although I have this $120,000 a year, doesn't make me that much money whatsoever, I am still able to have security. So I'm not telling you to pause all your investments. I'm telling you just invest 10, 20% of your personal income. If you want to grab, let's say, $20,000 of that money and also invest it, I personally wouldn't, because right now the market is very high, but you got to keep buying into the market. So that's why I would only invest based on my income. So if you make $1,600 right now currently, multiply it by 0.20, that's $320 per month that you're actually investing into your Roth IRA or into your 401k. But the big issue is going to be, for a very long time, your income. Once you raise your income through real estate, great. If you don't like real estate, it is fine. You can shift careers in 2 years. In 2 years, you'll be 26 years old. You'll have a great experience. But that way you can say, okay, I don't like this. I'll switch over to another career that can make me like $48,000, $60K per year. And then I can go ahead and buy a home for $300,000. By the way, the average millionaire, Caleb, does not buy a home that's more than $300,000. It's in a book. The book is called Stop Acting Rich. If you read that book right there, and you love books, I know you do. I watch your stories all the time. That book
Thank
will
you.
show you basically that the average millionaire just does not buy crazy expensive houses. Once you're done with your personal property, you can get, for example, into more investment properties and so on. And then a big thing is that I've been in New York all my life. Do I want to stay here forever? That's also a thing. Or do I want to say I have $88,000, I can buy a property nearly for cash somewhere else and just be done with that part of life? You know, there's a lot of ways you can kind of cut this, but I wouldn't take action at all until I got like a plan written down. And I wouldn't buy something I can't afford.
I see what you're saying. I'm glad you talked through the whole thing because it does make sense. Start from the beginning and see how everything else plays out. The real estate thing, the real estate agent, increasing my income, and then in some months or some, 1 or 2 years, then I see, okay, what I can do pretty much with the rest of the money versus I use it on a house if something goes wrong, or I invested all and then the market goes down. I have to wait for recovery.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I see. That's giving me a little bit more
and
clarity.
then you don't even know if your mom's gonna move out this year or next year. So you could be looking at you can probably stay with your mom until your real estate career actually does pick up. And then when you do move out, you can just get like your own apartment instead of getting a room, potentially.
Right. Yeah, because that was something else I know I was going to ask. Because if I didn't get the house, would you suggest moving out? Because I know in some of your videos you mentioned, or like getting an apartment. Some of your videos you mentioned, don't move out, you stay with them. But also if she's moving, she may be moving somewhere I don't want to go. For example, I'm in New York. I'm a real estate agent in New York. She may be moving to Ohio. Don't want to go to Ohio. I want to make my money here in New York. So
Why?
That would mean move out. Why would I want to make my money here, you're saying?
Yeah. Why do you want to stay in New York?
Because there's more, as a real estate agent, there's more money to be made in New York than in Ohio. Average house here, $500, even basic level. In New York City, $500,000, you make the commission off that. That could be somewhere like even on a low level, $5,000. Versus if I go to Ohio, the house is much cheaper. You see what I'm saying?
But the expenses are also a lot cheaper. The big question you got to ask yourself, Caleb, is if I'm gonna do this real estate thing in New York, for how long am I gonna be here, or what type of lifestyle do I actually want? Because if I was doing what you wanted to do, for example, New York, once my mom leaves, whether it's in 1 year or 2 years, I'm renting a room, right? Because all I'm literally doing is eating, pooping, and working. Does that make sense? That's all you're doing.
Yeah.
So you're building something. You're not bringing people to your house to show them something. No, you're not doing it. You're always out there. So your apartment is a place you're gonna spend the least amount of time in. You gotta be comfortable, yes, because I know you like cooking and all that stuff. But it's also, you got to save a lot of money. So if you can do that, great.
Initially, yeah.
And then you got to also ask yourself, because I had the same problem, right? I stay in New York. New York is great, but taxes are ridiculous. If you go to Ohio or wherever your mom's going, which you don't have to, it's just like an option thrown out here. Consider also, well, if I get a different type of job in Ohio, or I do become a real estate agent, there's different houses, different levels or whatever, but there's also less competition. There's also a lower cost of living. My $88,000 goes a much longer way. It might be better people around the area. It might be less crowded. I might just have a backyard. There are a lot of benefits to things. So yeah. I moved out of New York, man. I'm not trying to go back either. But you gotta cross your O's. You know what I'm saying? So you got to make sure you just make a list. What are the pros of me being here? Be honest, okay? Don't just say money, because money is all about perspective. I make $100K in New York, but I make $50K in Florida. It's very different, right?
Yeah.
It's a big difference. So
yeah, look at the overall picture of there versus here. But yeah, I'll still make the list and everything. But currently where I'm at, even if she did move away, I think it would be New York. There's more opportunity here. There's more money to be made here, especially if I stay in real estate. And I see what you're saying about taxes and everything. But I know when you're starting out, you need to, like, as you said, you invest in yourself. You get that money first. Then after you have a certain amount of money in whatever, 5-10 years, then I can say, okay, do I want to move to whatever, Ohio? Do I want to move to Puerto Rico? And save money?
Yeah, exactly.
But in terms of now, just get the money, and I feel like that would be here. even if it was renting the room, like you said, $150 a week, something humble. Here would be the place. I wouldn't want to do something like Ohio or something. I'm not hating on those places, but that's just where my mindset is. That's just where my mindset is. If you're in New York, that's where the money is. So just stay.
Potentially. Because one thing I will say about you, Caleb, is that you cannot stop making videos on YouTube. If you are gonna do the whole real estate thing, try to figure out a way to input the real estate into your YouTube channel. Because potentially, if you start doing that, then consultant, then you make your course also, you make videos around properties that YouTube would have access to. People like those videos. So if you do get that type of access, continue making your videos. And before you know it, if YouTube does blow up for you, you start building an audience and all these things, you actually like it. Well, before you know it, you might just say, hey, I make my money from YouTube. I don't really want to be here. You know what I'm saying? It's something to consider.
That's a good idea. I know I do want to get back to YouTube at a certain point. I did put that on pause. I'm like on a little hiatus now because when I started, I had much more free time. It was quarantine. It takes 9 hours to make a video, so I had time. Now I don't have no extra 9 hours per video to do it, so I put that on hold. But I do know at a certain point I'd want to come back and do it with real estate, but I'm just not sure which angle. Am I going to make real estate videos for real estate agents, or am I going to make videos for people who want to buy a house? So just kind of looking
try
at
it all.
Try it all. How that would
read a book. Yeah. Read a book. It's called 1,000 Superfans by Pat Flynn and Will It Fly by Pat Flynn. Those two books right there will help you building a community and an audience, and also kind of like deciphering if the idea you kind of created for yourself is going to work or if it's not going to work. And also, again, I know you're very hyped up on this whole real estate career thing, but you're going to be trying it out for 2 years, 24 months. If it does not seem to be what you thought it was, it is okay to pivot and switch. Okay?
Yeah, that's good advice. Again, talking me off the ledge because it's exciting. It's like, yes, exciting, but sometimes you need somebody to say, wait a minute, hold on. And that's wisdom. Instead of going in and messing up, you say, oh, now I have to go bankrupt.
Yeah, the real opportunity you have here, bro, honestly, Caleb, is gonna be getting $100,000. That is your real opportunity. And you're gonna notice this, right? If you read The Richest Man in Babylon, it talks about when you start to get money, you will find a bunch of different people trying to offer you different ways to make more money, and then trying to force your money to make you even more money and all this stuff. But the goal is money is going to keep growing in abundance in the person that takes care of it and also increases it at a good rate. So you don't want to risk all your money. If you just got $88,000, $100,000, you don't want to make an investment where you have to literally use all of it right then and there and just pray for the best.
Yeah, that's good advice. And yeah, I did read The Richest Man in Babylon. I also read 1,000 Superfans by Pat Flynn. So I see what you're saying there from those perspectives.
Read it 5 times. Read those books 5 times. Every time you read those books, I read Richest Man in Babylon at least 6 to 8 times already. And every time you read it, you get a different perspective. Remember, right? Sometimes reading is great, but sometimes reading one good book 1,000 times is better than reading 1,000 different books.
Yeah, and I'm learning that too, because I remember you said that in one of your videos, and one of my goals at the top of the year was to read 52 books in 52 weeks. And I started that, and I did it for a few months, and I realized, I'm doing so much stuff, but it's also different. I'm not really remembering it all. So now you don't remember
nothing. Yeah.
Right. So now I'm kind of still going for 52, but it's less books. There are certain books I keep rereading, like I'm rereading Millionaire Real Estate Agent by Keller Williams, because that helps with this career. And there's also another book I'm rereading, Exactly What to Say as a Real Estate Agent by Phil Jones. So you just keep these things going. That way you actually retain it, and it helps you for what you're doing now. And I'll still reach that goal of 52 because it's repeating it.
Yeah, and honestly, Caleb, you already have the skills of when you first get started, you're like, I need to read books to kind of change the way I think. You have those books already, those change the way you are books. You already have that charisma. So the books you should be reading right now are all based around your career and the skills you're going to need. For example, real estate books, books on talking to people, books on sales, books on negotiations. Those are the books that you need to read right now. No more I'm super motivated on all this nonsense. You know what I mean? Those books are great when you first start off, but
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, but now you need the books that the actual meat. Now you need the meat. And you don't eat meat, so You need the peas. Okay.
Yeah, there we go. The peas and the mustard. Yes, and the beans. There we go. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
there you go. There you go. All right, brother. Any more questions?
Okay, that's good. I'll keep that all in consideration. And the best place, if I did, well, I will break up some of this money and put it into like a Roth or something. Well, I do actually have a Roth IRA. Just about keep going with it. It would just be just putting it into index funds. So what index funds? Well, before I ask what index funds you suggest, I've already copy and pasted your
My
M1
portfolio.
Finance portfolio that you suggested. But is there something else that you would suggest in terms of index funds to put some of this money?
Well, all those ETFs that I suggested, they all have an index fund format with Vanguard directly. So if you want to look at exactly the index funds to those, to actually invest with Vanguard directly, just look up the alternatives to those and you'll find them ASAP. The only ones that you won't see are, for example, the bonds, the corporate bonds and treasury bonds. But when you call Vanguard, you ask them, hey, I want the index funds that tracks, for example, 1 to 3 year treasury notes. And I want the index fund that tracks, for example, the corporate bonds that are like AA rated or AAA rated. And that's about it. And they'll give you those two index funds also. But it's pretty simple. You know, once you have that portfolio, the game is just to keep doing the same exact thing. It's all about long-term team here. So it's all about the long term. You keep doing the long term. But the money that I do decide to invest from that $100,000, it probably wouldn't be more than $20,000 max. And that's going to be about it. And I would drizzle it across, for example, like 24 months potentially. So that's around like $800 per month or $500 per month. Just use it to max out your Roth, honestly. But understand, right now the market is very high. So the big thing is keep investing the way you invest, 10-20% of your personal income because you have no debt. But then with that extra money, you can just leave it there in our normal savings accounts, okay? Whether it's M1 Finance, because I have a spend account now, they give you some money there. Whether it's with SoFi, just make sure it's FDIC insured. And then just keep that money there. And in 12 to 24 months, you're not going to see, hopefully, hyperinflation and see, for example, 80% of your money decimated. You're not going to see that, okay? Because if you do see that, that'll be crazy. So just leave that money there. Don't touch it. Don't feel like you're not doing anything with it. Understand you're taking care of it while you do get the things ready for it, okay? It's kind of like when you're farming. If the earth is not prepped, no matter what seeds you're planting there, they're just not going to grow. It needs to be prepped.
That's very good. That's a very good way to end the call. That's a good analogy to use. And that really helps shape my mindset that I can pretty much save the money, have it saved, wait, invest a little bit, build myself up with building my income and everything. And then the money will be there for whatever I need it for, whether it's buying a house in a few years or whatever. Opposed to just spend it now, or not spend it, but invest it all now, and then you're in bad shape. Okay, that's good. That's a great way to end the call this up. I say thank you for that, Tommy. I appreciate it, and I must say I really do like the videos. You got 3 channels. You're really doing good. So I congratulate you.
Thank you, brother.
Good stuff.
I appreciate you, man. And remember, right, these calls are not a one-time thing. If you want to set up another call, feel free to schedule another call when you actually get the money, or when you move out, or when your mom moves out and you're like, Tommy, this is actually happening. I'm excited to find out your journey. I'm always on your Instagram. And before you go, Caleb, give a shout out to what you're doing. For example, whether it's your Instagram, YouTube channel, or your whole real estate business, we have a website for it, or whatever you have going on. Go ahead.
Yeah, if somebody would like to follow me, you can follow me at Smooth Caleb. That's my Instagram, and you'll see me post there about my real estate career. You'll see me post there about becoming a vegan, the whole thing. Also, I do have a YouTube channel. It's kind of on pause, but you can find me. You just type in Caleb Oliver, and then around it says personal finance and real estate. But you'll see me. You'll see me there. Thank you for that, Tommy. I appreciate that one. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for your time, man. And again, I'm sorry about last time not being able to get the call. This move has been insane, but we got the call done, so I appreciate your time a lot, Caleb. Yeah,
that's good. That's good. I totally understand. Thanks again. Talk to you later.
All right. Peace out, brother.
All right. Bye.
All right. All right, guys. So that right there was Caleb, one of my very first subscribers in the whole finance field. An amazing guy, vegan. Don't really agree with that part, but he's doing a lot of great things, you know, and he got this amazing opportunity. You know, one story I wish I did share with Caleb was a story about my friend. My friend actually received around $48,000 in a lawsuit after he was punched in the back of the head by his boss at his job. He got a lot of money. Yes, not a great experience. No, but today, 2 years later, that money is gone. He doesn't have a single dollar left. He started buying things he didn't need, trying to make investments he didn't understand, trying to put money into a house that he didn't finish, all these things, in Mexico. But the point is, when you receive a lot of money, the first instinct is, what am I gonna do? How about you do nothing, okay? Until you really describe exactly what you wanna do with this money and why. The idea that $100,000 and he got advice from this real estate guy saying, yeah, you can just do a transfer, refinance, and now you're stuck with a $600,000 house. But since you put in $100,000, you only have around like $500K, right? That you actually own this property. And you can rent it out. You have a basement, rent out, you stay in the basement, and then you rent out, for example, the top. $2,000, and you still need to make a lot of money, but your money that you're going to make is from a new career and you actually don't have that much experience. And the only money you make right now is $1,600. So yeah, great idea. The answer is no. It's not a great idea. Pause and just say, wow, renting is not always that bad. For the longest term here, if you're buying a house for $600,000 and your rent is only $1,000 because you're basically in a room, that's fine initially. Guess what? Renting is going to be cheaper forever as far as renting initially. But once you build up that experience and you actually become a full-fledged real estate agent, you have your clients, you have your clientele, you're making recurring income every single month, and there is where things start to change. And that's what I love about talking to you guys one-on-one. Thanks for joining me here, guys. All these calls are free, but join the long-term team. That's all we do here. It's all about the long-term, not about thinking just about the short-term. Yes, we take short-term decisions, but they're always based on long-term perspective. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified. If you want to join me on my next call, feel free to do so. There's a link down below. Click that link. It'll take you to my entire little website, and then you can basically schedule a little appointment, and I'll give you a call and talk to you one-on-one. Thanks for watching. As always, if you want to watch more content like this, here's a video right here. Click my face right here, and thanks for watching. And as always, peace.